following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
Well, you know, we're here at the Virginia International Raceway, and I know there's a very popular song about West Virginia, but we're here in arguably the superior Virginia because we're here at the Virginia International Raceway. Welcome back, everyone, to another round of Elbows Out Racing here, presented to you by IDI. This time, it is the Push for Quality 60, where these drivers are going to push their cars to the limits and go for gold here. It is a bit of a different setup here with the commentators here tonight. It is Patrick Coleman and Corey Silva here tonight. How are you tonight, Corey?
Well, it's different, I'll say that. Obviously, if you know the channel, you know me. I'm on the other side of the booth pressing the buttons, but Brad is under the weather here, so help out. And VIR, one of my favorite tracks, one of the best road circuits in North America, and we have a field of about 45 drivers here ready to tackle the track here in Alton, Virginia.
Indeed. So, I mean, if you know anything about this course, it is a very tricky course to navigate. If you look on paper, that it does look like it's a track where, you know, overtakes can be pretty easy. Not always the case. There are 18 official corners around this track, with some corners being broken up into A and B, and lots of straights. And a fun fact about this circuit is that in IMSA, the top class hasn't had a multi-class race here since 2014. So that's always an interesting thing to note. We are running multi-class here tonight as we are down in the final minute and a half of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely here, and we'll see what these drivers can do. About minute and a half, minute 45 seconds, depending on the class, to get around this place. And also known as kind of the green hell of North America there, Patrick. People will relate this track to the closest you'll get to the Nürburgring here in the States. So if you go off track, a lot of grass, a lot of opportunity to spin out into the abyss here, and very narrow. So as you said, there's opportunities for overtakes, but it's also quite risky depending where you take them on the track.
Indeed, you really got to risk it for the biscuit on this track if you really want to go ahead and make some very solid moves here. Traffic management is also going to be a tricky one here, just because it is so easy, like you said, to send yourself straight to the shadow realm on some of these corners here. The snake is a very tricky portion of the track. If you're not careful, you can touch grass, which is an amazing thing to do in the real world, but with slick tires, not exactly recommended. So if that happens, you are very likely to go on a massive off-roading venture here. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. Best of luck to all the drivers as we go ahead and wrap up qualifying here tonight. And honestly, Corey, I think it's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, nothing can go wrong here at VIR. A lot of good corners, a lot of good opportunities. Of course, you have the long straightaway off into turn one, the horseshoe corner. Very tight opening section of the track, NASCAR bend, left hook, snake, and then you kind of go all the way up that back stretch, which is very narrow, very winding, leading it into the famous RIP Oak Tree corner here. So, but these drivers are situated now and about to get gridded up. So just a few seconds, we'll be racing, Patrick.
Indeed. Let's go ahead and run through our LMP2 starting grid here. It is Austin Diltz taking pole position here by just 0.17 of a second down to Antonio Costa. And then it is Malik Bass, Kiel Haugen, Luke Patrick, and Cody Perodano. An unusually low qualifying spot there. And now we have Aiden Garcia, Wyatt Kennedy, Bob Carey, Morgan Smith, and Fozzie Fazillo taking up P11 here in the number 61 machine. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on over to the GT3 Pro category. Max Poe takes pole position here in GT3 Pro. And then it is Paul Nye, the donut guy, in P2. Peter Nodwell, followed by Tyler Stenik. Bill Gallo, also known as the wingless Mercedes from Long Beach. And then we have Zachary Nerney in P6. And then heading down to more of the grid here, it is Colin Baudon, Joel Bandera, Callan Tobin, Brian Medley, John Javicki, and then Tyler Cook in P12 here. And then for the last few positions, it is Chris Stewart, Mike Sermon, and Hugo Ortiz rounding out the GT3 Pro grid. Last but most certainly not least, we're going to head to the GT3 AM category. It is Ethan Murphy, Gregory Carnathan. I might have mispronounced that. I do apologize. And then we have Jonathan Lanton, Christopher Ondera, Matt Toppin, Maxwell Woodman C will see himself in P6, and then Benjamin Bechtel, Andre Wedderburn, Seth Fosselman, Dayton McGuire, Jacob Wilson, and Matthew Santos Sierra in P12. And then going down a bit further on, and yeah, there we go. It is Nathan Hepperly, Joshua Bibb, David Moore, Daniel Panero, Philip Keyser, and Patrick Rich in P18 in class. And then the last two, Jonathan Howell and Dwight Hibbs rounding out our GT3 AM and the entirety of the field. So we do have a bit of a new start procedure, so we do get a full formation lap, I believe. So that'll be a little bit of an extra chance for these drivers to go ahead and get their tires warmed up and ready to go. Because we know, I mean, you know, Corey, as much as I do, that driving on cold tires can be very tricky in the opening stages of the race.
Absolutely. These LMPs right now, they are now exiting the tricky section of the track, exiting Snake, heading down that long backstretch, which is anything but straight. As you can see, coming through these S corners here, and a good chance to kind of get a little bit of slipstream. And then once you get that, you head down into South Bend, and then that is the Oak Tree corner all the way off in the distance. Of course, that oak tree fell down about 7-8 years ago or something at this point, but leads you into a great passing opportunity.
Indeed. So it'll be very interesting to see how this race does play out. I mean, last week, I mean, the GT3 Pros were definitely the star of the show last week. They put on such a beautiful battle at Road Atlanta last time out. So I wonder if we'll see the same amount of fireworks. I mean, we know these drivers are extremely talented here as we watch this GT3 Pro field going ahead and making their way through the circuit. It is going to be a lot of fun here. This is such an amazing track. It's a track that's actually been on my bucket list to commentate on for quite some time now.
Yeah, it's a good track. I've covered it here on the channel and other leagues here in the past, and always puts on great racing. Right now, they are exiting turn number 12. Again, depends how you want to numericize this racetrack. Come down the long back stretch here, which actually is largely a straightaway. So this is a slipstream central. And then towards the end of that, these drivers will come up the hill and into a very difficult part of the track known as roller coaster. And here you will see drivers probably pushing off wide and trying to get themselves the best run to the start-finish line.
Indeed, and I mean, it is so crucial to get these overtaking opportunities when you can, especially if you're these LMP2 machines trying to overtake traffic. Because, I mean, as a common saying here when it comes to elbows out racing, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And I think we might see a bit of that here tonight. Hopefully not, but we do know that some of these drivers in this LMP2 field are a bit stronger when it comes to driving through the traffic compared to others. I mean, we've seen entire races go down just because of traffic management issues.
And the lap time differential right around 15 seconds, so that'll definitely make some interesting situations here, depending on where these drivers do hit that lap. Traffic for the pace car is going to take that right-hand turn into the pits. Elbows out, round number 10 is about to go live. Austin Dilt is going to get on that loud pedal here in that LMP2 class and get ourselves into green flag order. We wait some more. I got that call a little bit early, but coming through the bend, let's get racing here from VIR.
Indeed, with the starting procedures, the LMP2s waited till the green flag, and we are racing here in VIR, the Virginia International Raceway. It is time for round 10 to kick off here, as there's a lot of scrapping for position here. As the GT3s go ahead and get underway, the GT3 Pro Class will go ahead and fire off with Max Poe taking a fantastic race start here, doing the business, staying ahead of Paul and Sr. He actually did get a very fantastic launch, as we see several of these drivers up and down the field trying to jockey for position, pushing for these higher positions here. And Antonio Costa's already pushed himself into the lead of the overall and LMP2 category. Now, I mean, himself and his teammate Cody Perodato, actually both of them are up a position already. The current team championship leaders with Devil Beater Motorsports, and they're showing why that they're the champions, because already in the opening stages of these races, Cody Perodato is already up one position, and Antonio Costa's already fired off into the lead.
Yeah, the differential is pretty minimal between them in that LMP class, but as we focus on some of the GT3s, Tyler Stenik there in that third spot there, focusing on Paul Nye and not too far behind Max Poe here. So that GT battle is rather intense, and now they'll get the slipstream down the back straightaway. It looks as though Poe may be ahead of that slipstream here, but Stenik is closing in on Nye, but not enough to make a move here into roller coaster.
Indeed, I mean, it's pretty tricky to really get some risky moves done here, because I mean, it's early moments here. We're not even 2 minutes into this 60-minute race, so I mean, you really don't want to take yourself out before you really had a chance to get yourself going here, as Tyler Stenik is trying to chase down Paul Nye Sr. for P2. The driver in the BMW is going to go ahead and try to make his way, as we swap over to Austin Diltz, who's going to go ahead and try to make a move here. But once again, you really got to get super close. And like you said earlier, there are some good overtaking spots, but this part is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, right here coming through the S's and up through the 7, 8, 9, which technically is deemed as 3 corners, but not so much on board with Diltz here. He's coming through South Bend and getting himself situated here for the double right-hand complex. That is 11 and 12 as he tries to close in on Costa, but that is about a half-second variant here as get hard on the binders. One right-hand corner, gets right back to the bumper, and that's the second-hand part of that complex as we go back and look at the gaggle, the snake of the GT cars.
These cars are definitely weaving through that section like they are little miniature snakes. So it is always good, because we know this field loves to produce cold, hard racing, as we see Tyler Stenik now really close to the back of the Coke Zero Mercedes of Paul Nye Sr. We'll see if he can get a move there, but they're not alone. They're definitely not alone here, as Peter Nodwell, a very consistent force here, and Elbows Out Racing is going to go ahead and try to maybe capitalize on the move. Bill Gallo, who does have a rear wing on that Mercedes, has got another Mercedes right up his rear wing, as they are having a massive drag race down the stretch here.
Yeah, this is some of the best racing you'll see coming down roller coaster right here, and trying to situate that run. You're right to the rear bumper. You can't make too much of a move because you have to worry about the car behind you. Who's that blue car just behind? That's Brian Matterly, I believe it is, the 46. He was closing in on Joel Bandera. And then just look at that battle up front that we're focusing on here. These drivers all right on each other's door heading into the braking zone of turn 1.
Indeed, it is interesting to note that Bob Carey has already come into the pit, so he might have had some kind of damage on the number 280 LMP2 machine, but we're still going to go ahead and keep our attention at this very beautiful battle right here, as Joel Bandera is trying to put pressure on the Zachary Nerney, but he's got pressure behind from Brian Medley, the teammate of Tyler Stenik here in that BMW, trying to go ahead and close the gap and get a move done onto the McLaren. Now, Nerney and Stenik have been very consistent, very strong throughout the season, but this driver really impressed us here at Long Beach, Bill Gallo, was actually able to hold off, I believe it was Zachary Nerney even, where he was trying to hold him off without a rear wing, and doing so quite successfully for a good part of the track. And I mean, if you know Long Beach, then you know traction is paramount at that circuit.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard weird things here about wings going off and downforce levels not changing in the degree that you'd think, but coming down the back straightaway once again, a little bit of snaking going on. Of course, try to manipulate with that slipstream here. Bill Gallo trying to see what he can do here and try to hang on, and you can see that red car popping out, popping back in, getting close enough just to make you worry, just to make you sweat here as they come back down through the roller coaster section.
And they say diamonds are formed under pressure, but so are mistakes. And if you're a Bill Gallo, you got to really resist the pressure that Zachary Nerney is pushing onto you right now. You got to really hold your ground here, because this is definitely not a track where you can lose your nerve and get away with it. This track is very demanding, very tricky, but very fun if you can manage to keep it on the track and out of the grass. We are currently about a little over 5 minutes into this race so far. It is still very chaotic here at VIR as Jonathan Lanton, who is in the lead of the GT3 AM category. It does have the GT3 Pro of John Javicki just directly behind. I believe he is making his debut here tonight, so best of luck to the 706. But we have a very good battle here for position. It is Jonathan Lanton and Gregory Carnathan here trying to fight for the lead here in the GT3 AM category, making their way through this very twisty, tight part of the track here. It is so tricky. He's going through the snake, and then obviously we see that Gregory Carnathan is trying to snake himself into a higher position.
While you're looking at that, Patrick, on my side here, I am just still keeping an eye on the LMP overall battle right now, because Costa has not pulled away from Dilt. He's still within about 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second even, here coming into turn number 1. This is going to be a little bit of dirty air wash, makes it a little bit harder, but you still have enough grip to make yourself get through there. And Haugen in that 49, he's right there kind of waiting for mistakes to happen. And just looking at the track map, I'd say we probably have about 3-4 laps, Patrick, before I would say these LMPs are going to start getting into the back of the field. So best to make the moves now before the chaos inevitably hits.
Indeed, and I mean, like we were talking about earlier, if you go ahead and get yourself stuck trying to get through the GT3 field as an LMP2 in the snake section or even in roller coaster, you're in for a very tough time, and it just takes one simple touch to go ahead and end your entire race. You're off into Narnia. There's a lot of grass here, and if you touch it, then your car is not exactly going to be a big fan of you. But I know Austin Diltz is not a very big fan of still being behind Antonio Costa. But, I mean, we know that passing Antonio Costa in this series has been much easier said than done. He has been a very consistent force, a very strong force here. And, I mean, he's P2 in the Drivers' Championship for a reason here in LMP2.
Absolutely. Obviously having some great runs here over the season. If you still watch that battle in the overall lead, the LMP class still separated maybe about half a second now, so Dilt's starting to fall back, but as we said, a little bit of the aero wash coming through the roller coaster section, but he'll get that slipstream down the short front straightaway. You can see Costa kind of running that defensive line, trying to break whatever slipstream he can, but then hard on the binders into turn number 1 here as we take lap number 6 of an estimated 37 here on the day here at Virginia International Raceway. But they will continue battling on right now, and we do have a battle there as well in our next class in GT. Tyler Stenick and Paul Nye are side by side right now here through the roller coaster section. Not a part of the track you want to go side by side, but nonetheless it did happen.
I mean, this is definitely not the first time we've seen these two scrap over the course of the season. I mean, I know Brad is not here tonight. We do wish Brad a very speedy recovery. And on that topic, I mean, Brad knows that last week, I mean, these drivers here, I think there's 1 or 2 different drivers, but I know Tyler Stenick, Paul Nye, I mean, it was like hundredths of a second across the finish line at Road Atlanta. So, I mean, we know these drivers can race hard. We know they can race close. And we know that both Paul Nye and Tyler Stanek are not going to give it up without any kind of give. And there's a bit of a spin there for the BMW of Tyler Stanek. Looks like a little bit of a contact there sent him just tumbling down the order. He was in P2. Actually, I think he only fell down one spot.
Actually, that was Peter Nodwell, that 73. He's the one that went off the circuit there in that opening complex there, that number 73 McLaren. So he got the short end of the stick there, but ultimately the battle that we were following, Gallo and Stanek, is still live. Just behind that, you have Nerdy trying to sort things through as well. Coming down the back straightaway, you expect another dive to happen. Again, while we're watching this, the battle for the overall LMP2 lead is still hot and heavy, so battles all over this 3-mile racetrack.
And that's the beauty of the circuit, too, is that you...
4-mile racetrack, pardon me.
Well, 3.2, actually 3.2 miles, so I mean, close enough.
Numbers, doesn't matter. Numbers are hard. If you watch PTR TV, you know that numbers are hard, so, but either way, battles aplenty all over. I'm just focusing as well. We do have the first little bit of traffic for our overall leaders. Car off, LMP class. One of the GTs did go off the track here, and now we have a battle for second in LMP. Haugen getting by Costa there, and one of the GTs went off the track. Couldn't quite make out who it was. The 043 of Joshua Bibb caught the leaders at the worst part of the racetrack.
We do have a replay inbound, so we'll get a better view of that incident here very momentarily, so we can see what happened here. Yep, so there's Joshua Bibb turning his Porsche into a very expensive lawnmower, going way off track there. He was able to keep it going for quite some time, but he did get pushed way off circuit there. So that is unfortunate there for the 043 in the GT3 AM category, now at the back of the field. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. We'll get another look of that incident, I believe. Or this is a earlier incident between. Okay, so here's Joshua Bibb again.
Yeah, we just went a little further back, and again coming into roller coaster. Here's your overall leaders, and yeah, just nowhere to go. Just you know, the Simpsons car had a big dough moment there, but just really nothing he could do. And when those LMPs were coming by at the most difficult part of the track to get out of the way. We head back to live footage.
Yep, it is back to live pictures now. It is unfortunate, and it's a spin there from Joshua Bibb, having more dough moments here in that Simpsons Porsche. Looks like he just kind of lost it on his own there. His tires might be a bit fried.
Yeah, second verse, same as the first here, but actually not quite, because he just coming through NASCAR Bend, just completely lost it on his lonesome there into the grass. No harm, no foul, just lost more track position. But we're looking at Cody Peridotto there on screen right now. Malik Bass just behind him, maybe about a half second back coming down the straightaway. That's enough where you can get 2 or 3 tenths out of it via the slipstream. Luke Patrick here in 6th. Everybody's separated by about half second or so. I'd say once you hit about 8 tenths of a second, that slipstream range kind of eradicates itself. So when you're in that range, you still have a chance that you may be able to work yourself closer to the guy in front of you.
Indeed, and I mean, it's really good to stay within an 8 tenths range like you're talking about, because especially when trying to get through this GT3 traffic, which these drivers have already had some experience with, and they'll definitely run into it a few more times at least on the night. But this is a surprisingly low performance so far from Cody Peridotto, but we know, I mean, he is known as an alien in some circles, because Cody Peridotto's pace is unlike anything that we have seen so far. I mean, he's got a massive gap in the Drivers' Championship. I'd have to pull it up specifically, but, I mean, it's almost about, I think, half, or he's got about twice as many points as the guy in 3rd at the moment. I think the only driver that is actually actively close is his teammate of Antonio Costa.
Obviously doing quite well there, and I'm just kind of scrolling through, showing Peridotto here, but there is a little bit of traffic to be had, a lot of bit of traffic to be had there for our overall leader. I'm looking at Austin Dilt here in front of the field, and he is closing in, and a lot of GT cars in front of him, and we'll see it. You talked there in the opening there, Patrick, about traffic is a karma situation, and give it and it take it. This may be that opportunity. We'll see which end of the spectrum it ends up happening on.
Indeed, as we see Antonio Costa weaving his way through traffic, that looked a bit close for comfort, but he does go ahead and make it through, and now he's going to go and try to chase down Kjell Haugen. He wants to get that position back. Now, Kjell Haugen has been kind of seen as the ultimate opportunist here at PTR TV in Elbows Out Racing. He has been pretty much if somebody makes a mistake, you can pretty much guarantee that Kjell Haugen is going to go ahead and make it up. Austin Diltz has been a very impressive driver as well. I mean, these drivers have all just been super fun to watch over the course of the season. I can't believe we're at round 10 out of 12 already, so only 2 more rounds after this.
Be interested to see. I don't quite know the schedule offhand, but interested to see and follow along for those next 2 weeks of racing and into the future here, as here comes another car to go behind the leaders here, get into the middle of the mix here. Who is that? I'm trying to make that out. I think that's Christopher Ondera, and that number 79. He is now right in front of Haugen there, and that's going to get him woed up here coming down the straight. Here comes Costa to give a little bit of a bump draft down the straightaway. Gets them cleared as they head up into heading into the Oak Tree.
Christopher Ondera is usually a very consistent force in the GT3s, but now we're seeing a very fantastic battle. Now, Austin Diltz is really benefiting from the fight that's happening just directly behind him between Kjell Haugen and Antonio Costa. We're riding on board now with the number 13 Devil Beaters Motorsport car of Costa. He's going to go ahead and try to benefit from that slipstream, make his way past Kjell Haugen, although I don't think he's got quite enough real estate to make this move stick. There's still about 43 minutes left to go where you can try to make that move. Once again, just ran out of real estate here just before the roller coaster section.
And he ran out of real estate, but he has not ran out of opportunities, because you said it, Haugen's the optimistic with traffic. Well, he's going to have to use that optimism to get by cleanly here, as you can see just in front, a very busy track to be had. We are getting into the meat and potatoes of the GT grid, the GT Pro, rather the GT, not the Pros. The Pros are a little bit further ahead here. Seth Bosselman here on the screen in that number 143. He has a battle, I believe, behind him, 2 drivers. And looking there, he is currently 6th in his class.
Indeed, and we are also seeing Maxwell Woodman here, and just behind him is Dayton, or just ahead of him is Dayton McGuire in that McLaren there. I'm just called a Mercedes for some reason, but the number 007 McLaren there going ahead. He's going to be under pressure from Seth Bosselman will be the driver putting pressure on him sooner rather than later. I mean, those cars are very close here at the moment. It won't be too long before Seth Bosselman starts to put a ton of pressure onto the McLaren of Dayton McGuire as they make their way through this very tricky technical circuit. They are going down into the roller coaster corner here very, very shortly. They are just down that beautiful back straight here on the circuit. We'll see if he's going to have enough opportunity here to make the overtake. Doesn't look like it. And now we jump back to Patrick Rich. He's going to go ahead and put some pressure here onto Maxwell Woodman in that dire right Lamborghini Huracan, the number 523. We'll see if he's going to be in the right position at the right time to defend from Patrick Rich over here. Because, I mean, Patrick has been gaining pretty nicely onto the back of Maxwell Woodmansey. And speaking of gaining nicely, it is Antonio Costa, still pretty much straight up the gearbox. But we can both see the absolute gaggle of traffic they're going to have to navigate through.
While you were looking at that battle, I was focusing on the deltas in LMP2, in the LMP overall class. That lead fluctuated so much. It got up to about 1.5 seconds, and I'm like, all right, Diltz got through, but no. The traffic, as you said, it giveth, it taketh, and usually it evens back out to where it started, and that's exactly what has happened here. Back to about half a second. Costa still stalking the rear wing of Haugen there, and just coming through, I think the snake section coming back through the first straightaway of sorts, headed through South Bend. And we are showing a big wreck. Is that Pellegodo involved? Luke Patrick coming through. Who is that driver off to the right of the circuit? That's Nathan Hemperly. Already has Brissett to the pits.
That is very unfortunate there for Nathan Hemperly. He usually has such a big supporting fan base pretty much week in and week out, he's one of the drivers that always has a fantastic amount of support behind him. We do have a replay getting queued up here to go ahead and take another look at that moment.
There was an innocent bystander involved as well that we'll see in a second. Malik Bass did have to get checked up pretty heavily for that, but we'll see that once our producer gets that queued up in a minute. But still showing some great battles up front. Haugen has taken the lead from Dilt. Not quite sure how that happened, but obviously through the traffic, through the mess as they were getting through that pro traffic. But new race leader here, lap number 12 with about 40 minutes left in the event.
Kjell Haugen once again living up to his ultimate opportunist moniker here today. And I mean, he pretty much benefited from incidents. I mean, the incident earlier with Bib and Costa allowed Kjell Haugen to jump into second. And I believe it was a similar incident. So speaking of incidents, here is a repeat of the incident earlier on. And is Malik Bass just punting Nathan Hepperly, spinning around and around. I think he almost collected Kjell Haugen there, I think. Just about collected him. Yep, so here's another view, the beautiful blimp cam, and yep, pretty much as simple as that. Traffic definitely took it away there and got punted. Unfortunate there for Nathan Hempeley. You know, Nathan Hempeley is usually one of the drivers that has a ton of support, and you got to feel for him because that was no fault on Nathan Hempeley.
Oh, Brad, if we can cut to live footage, we have a great battle in LMP right now, and they are getting through lap traffic. Waiting to show that to you, getting through some slower traffic here, and Dilt is trying to get back what he lost. He did lose it through traffic. I kind of saw that on the back end, so he's trying to get it back, but Costa is trying to take advantage of the situation here. Maybe he'll do a little slipstream, but there's going to be another instance of GT getting in the way in the roller coaster section right here. Let's see what happens.
Indeed, and we'll have our popcorn ready because I believe it's going to be cinema here as they make their way through the roller coaster section. No changes of position yet, but crucially, Kjell Haugen has cleared the BMW of Seth Vasselman, and now Austin Dilt and Antonio Costa are both going to go ahead and clear him just after the hog pen corner onto the front straight, going down into the horseshoe. But well, before then, they got the move done and dusted. And if they were stuck behind Seth Fosselman there for a little bit longer, then that would have been super advantageous to Kjell Haugen. He has been doing a very fantastic job here today. And actually just taking a look through the standings right now, he's currently in P6 at the moment in the driver's standings here. So, I mean, not too bad. I believe it's his first season here. Yes, he is a rookie, but still, he still is 175 points behind Cody Perodato, and even then, Kjell Haugen has 168 points. So that just shows you how dominant Cody Perodato has been here this entire season.
Just saw there on that shot, Costa and Dilt, how aggressive they hit those curbs heading to the snake section there. Amazing, they didn't lose control of the car heading into Oak Tree here, and both all getting by. Some slower traffic here, and this is the closest first through third has been. They are a half second back. This is easily slipstream range between all three drivers, but even ahead of Haugen here, there's going to be 3 GT3s that he's going to catch heading into roller coaster. And now I think we even have Perodotto here, so we have a 4-car LMP battle for the overall lead here, and the mix of all of this traffic, hopefully everyone can get through here without anything bad happening.
So we just got word from the producer that there is still a ton of GT3 traffic that they got to go ahead and navigate. So while we do have this slipstream chain here with our top 4 in the overalls, they have a lot of work to do. Their work is definitely going to be cut out for them. I mean, we're not even halfway into this race, which is actually pretty surprising that we're already even close to already halfway through this race. It has been, I mean, it's been a very fantastic race here just so far, and we still have more than another half of the action left to go here at VIR. But yes, it is very true that, I mean, these drivers are going to have to really work hard. They got to push for these positions and push to get past this traffic here if they want to push for gold here tonight, Corey.
It's a very fine balance, Patrick, and we talked about it even in the oval side of iRacing as well, where you need to stay close, you need to stay within reach, but you don't want to overstep that boundary, make a mistake. You want to be optimistic, but you don't want to reach too far. And you can see there that on this back straightaway shot, Kalen Tobin that we're showing here, but so many drivers in front of these LMP drivers that are all going for positions. No one needs to get out of the way. This is all active positions, but everyone has a different goal going on a track that is largely only one lane across.
Indeed. And as we were just told from the producers, that this is indeed the GT3 group that are 4 major contenders for the lead are going to have to go ahead and carve their way through. So we'll see how these drivers manage to get through here. I mean, Kel Haugen, it's going to be really crucial for him. Ideally, if you're Kel, then you'd want to get past the traffic cars and then hopefully just before a really tricky part of the track. So the 3 cars behind me would really have to struggle here. Although it does look like that Costa has shaken Peridotto a bit. Peridotto's actually fallen quite a ways back here. And that is, I believe, that's one of the BMWs going a bit wide there. That's Jonathan Lanton, the GT3 AM Pro, going a bit wide. But that is a golden opportunity for 3 out of the 4 LMP2s to go ahead and take position here and go ahead and get through the traffic. Now we have Cody Peridotto going ahead and making his way past the GT3 AM leader, who himself has actually got a pretty solid gap. I think it's about 6.5 seconds, 6.3 seconds right now to Gregory Carnathan in P2 in class.
Our LMPs, you're talking about 6.5 seconds there, about 6.5 feet. That's what it feels like for the top 3 here in LMP as side by side. Let's go 3 wide here at VIR on the back straightaway. That's something I didn't expect on my bingo card here today. Austin Dilch trying to take advantage of it, heading into roller coaster, not close enough to dive in, but close enough to get Haugen looking in that rear view mirror. Doesn't want to fall too far back. I see some more traffic ahead that they'll probably have to navigate through turn number 1. Costa starting to fall back. He's stuck behind. That 6 feet he was behind is now almost 2.5 seconds just getting stuck behind the wrong cars at the wrong segments.
Yeah, pretty much. And now it went from a 4-way battle early on to now only basically a one-on-one fight here between Haugen and Diltz, which isn't a battle that you normally typically would see here, as typically the fight for the lead involves the Devil Beaters cars. But taking a look back into P5 in class, into GT3 Pros, Peter Nodwell is trying to put pressure on to Brian Medley here in that BMW, and if he's not careful, Callan Tobin is going to go and try to take advantage. But now we see Kjell Haugen. Indeed, we have Kjell Haugen going in and trying to make his way through. Beep, beep, he's going to have to get past. He does get past one of the GT3 Pro cars. He's got his work cut out for him, as Bill Gallo is the car just up ahead.
And now Costa is stuck behind. He is trying to get through. That cost him about 0.6 of a second. Now going to the outside, and Horseshoe Costa for 3 like Curry. Sent it on in and made it stick. Power move there. That's some real stuff. Talk about optimistic moves. Costa made it happen. But it's not over yet. Look at the bump drafting down the back straightaway.
I know you're more of an oval track guy, Corey, but this is pretty much right up your alley with this bump drafting. They are doing extraordinary stuff here. That is why we love coming to Elbows Out Racing every single week. You get beautiful moments like that. Beautiful, hard, clean, fair racing here between Costa and Diltz. Antonio did not care what it would cost him. He was going to get that move done.
Absolutely. And one thing I don't think we've been able to deduce there, Patrick, here in the LMP class is who's actually the fastest car. I mean, we've seen some passes to be had, but it seems as soon as someone takes the lead, something happens, someone gets shuffled in traffic, someone makes a mistake, and it gets shifted around. So we really haven't even been able to deduce who is probably the cream of the crop there in that class. The top 2 have cleared, and that is the vast majority of the GT traffic. There are still, I think, Poe, Nye, and Stenik before eventually they kind of clear the majority of the field. So that kind of gives us a chance to reset here, at least for a brief moment, and maybe see if there's other things going on the circuit.
Yeah, normally it would be. I mean, normally it's Perodato and Costa pretty much running this field as we are actually watching Cody Perodato right now, just trying to go ahead and try to navigate this traffic. Usually traffic navigation is something that he does very well. I mean, he had a masterclass at Long Beach when it came to traffic navigation, but it seems like he's having a bit of a tougher time here as he's trying to get past Peter Nodwell in the McLaren. He's going to try, but even then, the McLaren is going to try to put pressure on Brian Medderly while this battle is going on. Cody Perodato is going to have to sling on past. He does. He is on a very good track for clearing these GT3s. So, I mean, this is probably one of the better spots to try to get moves done if you're one of the LMP2s trying to clear traffic here.
Yeah, this is a good chance on the track to do it. Make sure you get it done before you head into a roller coaster, which is exactly what happened here. So Costa has closed back in within 0.2 of Haugen there, but Perodato now back 5 seconds. Remember, he was just on the rear deck lid of those top three. And just a quick summation of the other classes. Max Poe is up by about 5 seconds over Paul Nye in the Pro division. And in the AM division, we have, I think it's down to now 3 seconds. Ethan Murphy has taken second in that class. Matt Toppin, again, roughly, I think it's 3. But actually, no, Murphy in the pits now.
It is about the time for these drivers to go ahead and start cycling in their pit stops. Typically, we do see these cars pit in. Well, the GT3s usually want to pit in first, and then the LMP2s usually aren't too far behind. They do have to get a set of full, fresh tires, so they can't do a split tire like you may see typically in oval racing. So they do pretty much take all four tires.
Costa into the wall hard, missed the corner into Oak Tree, and that's his race.
Yeah, Antonio Costa, that cost him his race, that one little accident. We were talking about it even a little bit before the stream, before we got live here, Corey, that it just takes one mistake to turn your race from excellent to non-existent.
One chance, one opportunity. That's not everything he ever wanted, and something about Mom Spaghetti that he's not going to have, but I'm sure we'll get a replay queued up of that. Replay is queuing up here, and you can see coming through South Bend and now getting ready to set up for Oak Tree. He just was way too far off to the left, exiting the bends, preluding into Oak Tree. I'm not sure why he drove off the track the way he did, but once he hit that grass, it is largely like ice, and that tire barrier took off his entire front clip.
Yeah, so this is the on board of Costa here.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just went wide there. I wonder if that was a wheel or mechanical problem with his sim rig. I mean, we've seen that before here at PTR. We've seen where sometimes things just don't cooperate super well. And this is Maxwell Woodmansee. We'll see what happens here. This is an accident. Oh, he just lost it on his own there and just got sent into a spin. The Diet Right car is actually facing it in the right direction, though, thankfully, but he is definitely losing some time from there. And ooh, McLaren almost decided to join him into the grass.
Say Austin Bosselman exiting the pits there in that 13th spot in class, and we'll say that Diltz is praying the rear bumper of Haugen here. Perodato has gained a second, so Perodato, excuse me, he's gained a second there in our overall lead as we are now past halfway in the race. 26 minutes to go, approximately 16 laps that we are estimating here in the race. Pit stops are aplenty right now across Costa in the pits, but some of the GT drivers coming to the pits. Bosselman is still on our screen right now, focusing on him as Nick says no. Back to live.
And yeah, here we go.
Into the grass. That is the agricultural work there by Haugen. Luckily, kept at least one tire on the track to preserve some form of grip.
Indeed, but that's going to open the door wide open for Austin Diltz. Is he going to go ahead and make the move? No, I think the traffic kind of got in the way there of the Tribute Corvette. And that, once again, just through sheer opportunity, Kel Haugen holds that position. But the question is, what is the state of his tires right now? Because surely grass is not good for slick tires like it is for other animals. And oh, who was that going off there?
quite sure at the moment, but as you said, it takes about maybe a couple corners, get that grass and debris on the tires. You'll certainly lose a little bit of grip for the subsequent corners. It does put actually a little bit of debris on the track too, so it actually can inhibit some other drivers with their grip, at least in the short term. But back to Austin Diltz there in the third spot, 6 seconds back. Did we miss something that caused him to fall back that far?
So we do have a replay coming up just to see what happened to Austin Diltz here. It is Wyatt Kennedy getting involved. So the two LMP2s. Oh, so this was the LMP2 I saw going off earlier. Yeah, so there he goes. There goes Wyatt. Well, it doesn't seem to affect Diltz any. Oh, there's Diltz. Diltz has also entered the elbows out lawn mowing competition that was being talked about in chat earlier. I can't tell if that's an award you want to win or not.
But you gotta give him
50 feet of weed whacker wire
didn't
does sound like a pretty nice prize.
Yeah, you got to give him some credit, though, because he did not do what Costa did, which was completely lose control of the vehicle. He at least got off track, but slow enough to regain control of the car, which keeps him racing and still into the thick of it here. But now it puts Haugen in a spot where, all right, for the first time really this whole race in LMP, the leader can kind of just focus on himself, doesn't have to look in the mirror, can take your time through traffic and do your thing. Now enjoys a 4.2 second lead over Peridotto, but I guess this will be the opportunity on Clean Real Estate. We can finally answer the question of who is actually going to be faster. Does Cody have the pace to purely run down that 49 car with approximately 14 laps to go?
We'll have to see, but I think actually if you're a Kel Haugen, this might actually be a pretty good time to try to get a pit stop done. Because these LMP2s still have to make their pit stop to swap to some new tires. So Kel Haugen might actually take a good opportunity to do that as he goes ahead and just rockets on past the Porsche there, just getting it done. No issue there. Traffic did not give him a hard time. That was the number 151 of Andre Wedderburn that he got past. Callan Tobin now fighting for P2 in class in the GT3 Pro category against Brian Medley. The Mustang versus the BMW. We'll see who's going to go ahead and come out on top here. We know Callan Tobin loves to pile on the pressure in that Texas Ruger Mustang. He's going to put a lot of pressure onto the Fair Enough racing car. We'll see if the number 923 has got what it takes to go ahead and get this pass done, dusted, and delivered. But once again, not exactly the best part of the track to try to get overtake. And, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that battle ended, or if we'll see that battle again, because it ended with Brian Medley popping into the pits.
He seemed to get through the roller coaster better, pulled away a little bit coming down the track there, then instantly comes into the pits, and he'll get himself situated here. It looks like, just based on what I'm seeing, it is about a 44-second pit delta, so wherever you are on circuit entering the pits, you'll lose 44 seconds to that coming back onto the racetrack, so kind of keep that in mind, and we'll see how everybody cycles on through. Still waiting for the majority of our LMP drivers to pit. In fact, the majority of them, the only one that has come in, Morgan Smith in 7th and Wyatt Kennedy in 8th, so still waiting for those drivers to come on in here as we're in now the last third or so of the race.
I'll tell you what, because we never really got one last week, how would you feel, Corey, if we did some temporarily loud engines here?
I haven't done that in eons on the channel, so why not?
Alright, since it is your first time here at Elbows Out Racing, at least in recent memory, I'll let you pick the driver we do our temporary loud engines with.
Well, who better than... No, let's not do our race leader. That's boring. How about let's do Malik Bass. I don't think we've talked about him much.
Alright, I think that is a fantastic idea. So we're going to go ahead and let you enjoy the sights and sounds of these LMP2 machines roaring through Virginia. And we're going to take a step back, and we'll be back momentarily. guys enjoyed those temporary loud engines just as much as we did, I mean, the LMP2s are arguably some of the most beautiful sounding machines to ever grace a racetrack here. During our temporary loud engines, the race leaders of Cody Paradotto did pit, but Kel Haugen, the actual race leader, did make his pit stop. So our top two did make pit stops. So now we're going to hopefully get the answer to Corey's question early on. Which driver is quicker on pace? Is it Kel Haugen, or is it the championship leader of Cody Paradotto?
Well, last time round, I'm just looking here, and it looks as though, well, actually, they're both on their out laps, so we won't have a good indication at the overall best lap of the race for those individual drivers. Haugen was 0.2 of a second faster at a 39.8 to Paradotto's 40 flat. But of course, that's just a one lap. You don't know how that's going to turn out to in a routine lap-to-lap basis. So we'll see what happens there. But as that pit stop cycle has not quite concluded, still waiting on the top three. Diltz, Patrick, and Bass still waiting for them to fully complete the pit cycle.
Indeed, and some of those drivers are making their way into the pits now. And actually, all three of them are making their way into the pit stop now.
Right on cue. They heard me. They're like, we want to get this running order back to where it was.
They want to get more screen time. But all jokes aside, yeah. I mean, it was kind of predictable that it wouldn't be too much longer after Haugen and Paradotto made their pit stops that we would see the rest of the field try to go ahead and make their pit stops to reset the balance, if you will. But we'll see. And actually, talking about the fastest lap earlier, the fastest lap currently actually does belong to Austin Diltz with a 1:39.728, a little over a tenth, like 1.2 tenths quicker than Kel Haugen's time, which is a 1:39.846. Oh, speaking of Austin Diltz, he goes round and round. Unfortunate mistake. But that is, I mean,
cold tires. Literally just exiting the pits here. Well, I'm sure we'll get it queued up in a second, but I got it on my back end right now. He just entered turn number 1 and loop-de-doop-de into the grass. Couldn't quite make that one rhyme, but he'll carry on, and we will see what does happen here. Replay queuing up. You can see exiting the pits, those cold tires. Takes about a lap to get, operating temp into those tires. They don't give you tire warmers. They're in the pits. They only give them to you on the opening set of tires you do receive. He's exiting the straight here, exiting the pits, diving off into turn 1 at about half speed even. And there she goes.
Round and round like a merry-go-round there. And yeah, pretty much like you said, I mean, it's those ice cold tires, really get no kind of traction. And until those tires get pretty much warmed up, I mean, it doesn't matter what car you're in, whether you're in the GT3s, whether you're in the LMP2s, or even the GTPs that we raced in last season. The first lap or so is pretty much like trying to be a cheetah on an ice rink. You're just not going to get a lot of traction, and it's going to be tricky to keep that car going in the right direction, as Kel Haugen is going to get past the McLaren there, trying to make his way through traffic, keeping that gap at around 4 seconds here as we enter just about to enter the final 15 minutes, the final quarter of this race here at VIR. And man, Corey, what a race it's been so far.
Absolutely good first time for me to join and see a great race here, a track that I quite fancy here. And that gap is very quickly going down here. We may have a battle for the win on our hands. I don't want to get overly dramatic here, as Haugen, I think, is dealing with a little bit of traffic, but that gap is down to 3 seconds. Zach Nerney on the screen right now, 6th place. He is, I believe, trying to close in on Peter Nodwell there, but he has about 4 seconds ahead of that. But just behind him is Tyler Cook, and that's 691. That is for 6th and 7th in the pro class.
Indeed, and I mean, you're talking about a potential battle for the lead. I mean, last week at Road Atlanta, we saw the most beautiful battle in the GT3 Pro category involving Nerney's teammate of Paul Nice Sr. And I mean, it was like tenths of a second across the line. I think it was even hundredths of a second across the line. I remember it was extremely close for the lead of this GT3 Pro category. And if things keep going like you're saying, then we might see the same thing for LMP2s here, and it'll be probably the closest overall finish of the entire season. But we'll have to wait and see if that is the case. Andre Wedderburn now P4, looking for a P3 if he can get past Ethan Murphy here in the number 26 Elbows Out Racing McLaren. We'll see if the 26 can hold him off. We do know that Andre Wedderburn has been pretty strong today in today's race. The number 151 Porsche has been doing fantastic, and now you're going to get a good amount of that dirty air going through the snake, and it's so tricky. It's so easy to lose it here.
I don't know if I'm hungry or I just misheard you because of bit rate, but I could have swore for a while you were saying Andre Whataburger, but maybe that'll be a running joke in the league. But yes, Andre Whataburn there in that number 151 again through the snake section there. I saw Ethan Murphy get slightly off the track. I do want to kind of pour some water on my fire for the LMP battle because that lead is kind of going back up nearly to 4 seconds, so I don't think we're going to have anything to speak of there. But there is, I'm trying to find the best battle on the track to help Brad out here as we're following Cody Peridotto here, about 3.6 seconds back of Cleo Haugen there, who is in complete clean real estate. So, I mean, this is going to be the time where he can set those time trial laps on super fresh tires.
Indeed, and now they've driven around the track enough where those tires are indeed warmed up. And I think he does now have the, no, he's not quite the fastest time, but he's got one of the faster times on the track. I think he's got the second fastest lap time overall, a 1:39.846 still. So actually there's another time that is actually the fastest, and that belongs to Malik Bass. Malik Bass has the fastest time right now. It is a 1:39.591. So, but right now we're gonna focus on Callan Tobin right now, he still needs to pit. So that's why he does have a 22-second gap to Max Poe. Max Poe is still the net race leader, but we'll have to see if and when Callan Tobin does make the pit stop. Regardless, though, it is a Mustang in the lead, whether on track at the moment or in the net lead once Callan Tobin pits. The number 048 of Max Poe is doing a fantastic job here. Started on pole position in the GT3 Pro class, and he's been keeping up some really good pace ever since.
Yeah, and it's just one of those situations, and, you know, Brad, we always talk about this on our other broadcasts as well, where when you have a leader who just does things that he's doing right now, Max Poe just dominating the class, really stinking up the show. There really hasn't been any battle that he's endured. Here he is trying to pass a car in the faster class. That just shows the pace he has compared to some of the other drivers, but we sometimes forget to show the greatness of some of these drivers who just dominate the show, stink up the show within their race, within their class, and you just don't want to undermine just an absolute butt-whooping that he has put on in that Pro Division.
They say nothing beats a JetBlue holiday, which is the, quote, sponsor of...
Jet2 holiday.
Well, it's JetBlue on the car, which is the reason I deviated, but still, I mean, nothing beats a JetBlue LMP2, aside from Max Poe, apparently. That is the number 260 of Bob Carey. I know me and Brad had a heyday with that when we were at Long Beach. I was trying to come up with a good pun for that, then I got interrupted with lizard, which is a thing that the kids do nowadays. But still, it was a pretty funny moment. But it's always fun times here at PTR TV overall, but especially at Elbows Out Racing. It's always good time, good racing, good battling, like we're seeing here with Tyler Cook just going in and trying to defend his position from Zachary and Ernie. The Culver's car needs to cook here if he wants to keep that P6 away from the Coke Zero machine.
Coke Zero and some Culvers. Never had a Culvers because it's just not a New England thing where I'm from up here, but Nerdy doing the best he can, coming through roller coaster. Just got to get yourself situated here as they will get by the slower traffic, and if he get himself a good run through the final bend through Hogpen here, which is the final section, let's see if you can close in, get a little bit of slipstream down the straightaway. He's about, I think, 0.3 of a second back. That's not going to be enough, but it's enough where he can make things interesting here through 1 and then through the NASCAR complex, 3 and 4.
Indeed. I'm pretty sure the last time that I could remember these two battling it out. I think I even did mention that. Although, granted, they have Culver's here in Florida, but I've never actually been to a Culver's or Whataburger either, which I know is probably blasphemy for a good portion of people. But what's not blasphemous is the fact that this battle is very beautiful to watch. Zachary and Ernie still pretty much right up the rear wing, and here's a gaggle of cars. It's a righteous battle here. Benjamin Bechtel in the number 28, trying to chase down Gregory Carnathan there in the Mustang. Jacob Wilson and Christopher Ondera also involved in the battle, and Matthew Santosiero also involved too. So it is a 5-way battle here for P5.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming towards the latter end of the race, and here they come now down the pit straight, trying to get themselves situated here, figure out where they are going to run, entering turn number 1, hard on the binders. Look at the huge dive from Ondera there, closing on in hard on the brakes, but that actually cost him some time as Santosiero also got a little bit closer to him there. Sometimes entering the brakes zone super hard actually cost you on corner exit.
Indeed, yeah, it's always really tricky to try to pick your moment and go for it. I do want to talk about this Corvette here, because this Corvette livery is actually a tribute car to a grandfather who worked for VIR Security. So it is a tribute to the security vehicle that you would see on this racetrack from time to time. So it's actually really cool to see these awesome tribute liveries here on track. That is the number 551 of Jacob Wilson, running a tribute for his grandfather. And I mean, you love to see these kind of stories on the racetrack.
Yeah, a race car isn't just something that goes fast. It's something that has sentimental value to you. Just watched a podcast. Dale Jr. spent $180,000 to get one of his father's old cars. You know, they have some meaning to you. You want to do well in something that has that meaning towards you. As we follow Santosiero in that number 16 car as he closes in towards that battle there of 5th and 6th in that class. Chris Ondera here in that number 79. Trying to see what he can do as well.
Getting past the LMP2 car. Some of them are actually passing the LMP2 of Aiden Garcia, the number 799, currently P6 in class. Getting just kind of swallowed up here by these GT3s, it's usually the other way around, but this track has produced some good racing on. This isn't the first time we've actually seen an LMP2 lose quite a handful of positions to the GT3 cars. We haven't really seen much of Aiden Garcia today. He is about 32 seconds away from the race leader of Kjell Haugen. And speaking of gaps, I mean, we only have about 6 minutes left, but that gap between Haugen and Perodato has closed up a bit to now about 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, I was watching that just as you said that, and that is because some GT traffic has gotten in the way, heading down the back straightaway into Roller Coaster. And Perodato, he's going to catch them at the wrong time. Haugen is probably going to be able to extend that lead as we're still focusing on this GT battle here. 5 minutes left, about 4 laps of racing to settle this thing through. So lap to lap, I still think Perodato was a little bit faster, but we'll see if anything gets spicy here in the last 5 minutes.
Pace is definitely a very solid thing, but when it comes to this multi-class racing, a lot of races have really just come down to traffic management more than just pure hard race pace. But I mean, like we said, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away, and it's definitely been pretty impactful here this race. Some races this season, the traffic management didn't really cause any major ripples or major changes throughout the race, but I feel like in this race, it's done quite a lot against these drivers here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a track, like a standard F1 track overseas with a lot of runoff space or wide and a lot more straightaways. This track, more natural flowing, an older style track, and these are the tracks that create those narrow segments of the racetrack, these elevation changes. That makes traffic, that makes double file racing so difficult here. And as we still focus on this battle, we have a battle in LMP basically queuing up here. I think we're going to have a fantastic last lap pass for the LMP lead here. We are down to just over 1 second here. Can Perodato clear this lapper this 46 car into roller coaster. He cannot. Can the 46 get out of the way and preserve that overall battle for the lead? That's Brian Metterly. Let's see if he's going to be able to get out of the way of Peridotto to preserve any time loss.
We're going to have to go ahead and see, like you said, the roller coaster. You want to have the overtake done before you go into the roller coaster section. So that's definitely going to go ahead and put a wrench into the plans of Cody Peridotto to try to make a battle for this lead. The gap has closed up very considerably, just under half or a second and a half between P1 and P2 here. And I think, I mean, it wasn't that for a while, but I think overall you are still going to get that battle that you were predicting earlier on, Corey. The battle for the lead, the very tight-knit battle between two very rapid drivers. It is the championship leader. Ooh,
he got stuck
right
behind the BMW there. I can't quite make out who that was. The BMW is going to do his best to get out of the way, but the damage already done. That was 9/10 of a second just in a 2 or 3 corner swing of being stuck. That may be all she wrote. Is we're just under 3 minutes. This is where we have to get into that timer conversation, Patrick. We're looking at about 1:40 around this place. So that's probably 2 to go, but it depends where they cross the stripe in relation to that time.
Indeed, it is. I mean, he's pretty much out of time now. I think I 100% agree with you there. I think the traffic pretty much just sealed the deal for Cody Peridotto, and Kjell Haugen is looking very likely to go ahead and take victory here for, I believe, the first time this season. But, I mean, it's been a very strong drive from Kjell Haugen. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. He was a master opportunist. He saw drivers make mistakes. He saw Costa make a mistake. He saw Diltz make a mistake. He took advantage and just climbed his way up into the lead. And unlike the cars ahead of him, he just didn't make mistakes.
It's going to be 2 to go there, Patrick, because we're coming across from the stripe here with 2 minutes. That means when we cross the stripe next time by, there'll be 20 minutes left. So we will have 2 more laps. The lead back down to 1.5 seconds. That pace difference is huge. I mean, 0.8 a lap is not unheard of, particularly when there's still traffic in front of Haugen right now. That 29 car gets in front of him. That will give a little bit, and there's still some more GT traffic ahead. So I don't want to, say the fat lady's starting to sing yet. Maybe she's getting the notebook ready. Maybe she's getting her musical notes ready, but I don't think she's opened her mouth yet.
Indeed. I mean, so we're going to take a look here. Actually, it's a battle for P3, as we were talking about for the battle of P1 earlier. It is Austin Diltz on a good recovery drive, trying to go ahead and take the podium back from Luke Patrick here, just in P3, as we're approaching the final minute of the race. These drivers are going really close to each other on a part of the track you really don't want to try to risk an overtake on. I mean, you pretty much got to fight tooth and nail. I mean, you really got to get your elbows out. It's the last minute of the race. It's pretty much make or break for these drivers here. Luke Patrick seems to be the first one to go ahead and get past the traffic, and I think that might go ahead and, well, it was going to make his battle easier, but Austin Diltz went in and got past the same traffic around the same time as we're coming through to the final 30 seconds of the race here. And Austin Diltz is going to use the speed and think about a move. He's going to try to line it up, but he just doesn't quite have the real estate. That door is slammed shut. Luke Patrick does not want any Girl Scout cookies. He doesn't want to lose the position. He keeps the podium spot for now. But look at this battle coming up at the front. Cody Peridotto he's less than a second behind as the white flag is waved. The white flag is out, and oh man, this is going to be spicy battle here. But he's got to get past his Corvette to make anything happen.
Gets past the Corvette. Peridotto has to get by as well. He will get by, but now again, look at the traffic in front of Haugen, but look at the traffic that Peridotto has to follow him through. So as you said, what giveth also taketh here, and it's given Peridotto a shot for it, but at the same time, he is stuck in a really difficult situation here coming up through the South Bend and into Oak Tree for the final time. If he can get to within 0.8 of a second slipstream, there's a fighting chance, but that fighting chance is getting ever so much farther away. But no, he's right there. He's within half of a second here coming to the outside of the Mercedes through the Oak Tree section. He's going to be close. He's going to be super close, but it's going to be ever so late.
It is going to come down to the wire. It is a drag race now. Cody Peridotto is trying to use every bit of slipstream that he has. He's trying to use every bit of pace that the Dallara chassis can bring him. He is in the wheel tracks, but he didn't make the move before the roller coaster. He's going to get close, but no tamale there. And through trials and tribulations, through a bunch of pressure as well, it's not quite over yet. He's got to make the move now. If he doesn't, I think he's out of time. Kel Haugen is going to be close across the line, and just in under 0.2 of a second, Kel Haugen will take victory here at VIR. It was a really close battle, but once again, Kel Haugen just holds off long enough.
Talk about a skin of your teeth victory there. Absolute. Couldn't have hung on for another 2 corners there as Peridotto closed on in, but we are focusing on some other battles. And of course, Max Poe, he is going to get the P1 for the GT Pro class, and Patrick Rich will get the AM class here. Those battles, not really anything to cement there. Those drivers have been doing great and have significant leads in their class.
Indeed. I mean, once again, just like we had at Road Atlanta last week in the very tight-knit battle with the GT3s, we saw that here. Your prediction came to fruition with a very close battle for the win here in LMP2 and overall. I mean, that was a mighty fine drive there from Kel Haugen. I mean, excellent work, but we also cannot discount the efforts of these GT drivers. Max Poe putting on a fantastic race himself, about a 3.7 second gap to Paul and I, the Donut guy in P2. And then Patrick Rich actually had a pretty close gap there. It was a few tenths of a second, actually. About 3.5. Yeah, it was a pretty close battle there. But overall, it was a fantastic race here. Just to go ahead and wrap things up. How did you find your first race back here, Corey?
Well, it's been a long time since I've covered a multi-class race, and I was a little worried coming in that I wasn't going to be able to fit in the saddle here, but these guys definitely gave me the best show that I could have asked for, and seldom do you see a multi-class race come to within about a car length first to second there in the overall battle. So absolutely phenomenal stuff here as we get our overall results here on the screen. LMP2 final margin of victory, 1/10 of a second. Peridotto to Haugen there, Luke Patrick at third, Austin Diltz. He went off track, had to use that fast repair. Still gets a 4th. Malik Bass in 5th. And we have Aiden Garcia, Morgan Smith, Wyatt Kennedy, Bob Carey, and Antonio Costa. Remember that front clip that he had issues with. He settles for last in class.
Indeed. And I mean, he was already 58 points behind his teammate in the championship standings. So that's going to make it a bit worse. Going down to our GT3 Pro results, it is Max Poe taking a 3.7 second lead and victory ahead of Paul Nye Sr., and then Tyler Stenek, Tyler Cook, Zachary Nerney, Callan Tobin, Bill Gallo, Chris Stewart, John Javicki, Mike Sermon taking out our top 10 in our GT3 Pro class. And then moving on down, once we go ahead and move on down after 36 laps, our next 5 are Brian Medley, Peter Nodwell, Joe Bandera, Colin Bourdon, and Hugo Ortiz, rounding out our drivers in the GT3 Pro category.
Include our race results here. And there is the AM results here to wrap things up. Matt Toppin led that class by 14 seconds over Ethan Murphy. Andre Waterburn there in 3rd, Gregory Carnathan in 4th, and we have Chris Ondera. He had a chaotic race, saw him make some interesting moves. Jacob Wilson in 6th, Patrick Rich in 7th, Matthew Toroso in 8th, and then Maxwell Woodmansey, and then Seth Vosselman in the 10th spot, about 58 seconds behind the class lead. And then the next paid result as follows. We have Dwight Hibbs, we have Benjamin Betchel, we have Philip Kieser, we have David Moore, Daniel Panero, McGuire, Lantern, Hepperly, Bibb, and Howell, the top 20 in the AM class.
So, I mean, it was a fantastic race, fantastic battles all throughout. VIR delivers as it always does, and just as Elbows Out Racing always goes ahead and delivers. We're going to go ahead and pull in our LMP2 and overall race winner, Kel Haugen. I mean, what a drive, man. How do you feel?
That was a pretty smooth one. Thank you, fellas.
I mean, you pretty much had Peridotto breathing down your neck. here in the final moments of the race. It was a little under a tenth and a half separating you guys coming across the checkered flag.
Yeah, I was if every coming up with some traffic, whatever corner. So obviously Cody has been having a hell of a season. So I'm just glad I got one in this season.
Indeed. I mean, it's been a fantastic drive from you. You did mention traffic management. How did you find the traffic management around this track? Because it seemed pretty tricky at sometimes.
Yeah, it's all traffic. I was thinking about splitting fuel strategy, maybe coming in early, but no, it's just trying to keep up with that front group, and then just trying to manage distances into corners and try and get away from everyone.
All right, we have 2 more questions before we go and let you go. First one, it is the Hockenheim Ring next week out in Germany. What are your thoughts on the circuit, and how do you think you're going to go there?
Oof, I don't think I got tickets over there, so I might be staying stateside.
Which is pretty unfortunate because, I mean, you had a mighty fine race here today. And then last question, as always, do you have anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Shout out to you guys. I love the broadcast. I love watching the back of the race, seeing some good moments for me, seeing some bad moments. It's all in good fun. So appreciate the effort you guys put in.
And we appreciate you guys putting on a fantastic show here tonight. And as we always see, pretty much week in and week out. Best of luck to you next time we see you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
All right, so we have the boss man in here. Got P2 in the GT3 Pro class. It is Paul Nye Sr. and Corey, I'll let you take this one.
All right, Paul and I with the second place in class, finished 3.7 seconds behind Max Poe there for that class win. Just talk about your race, summarize what you dealt with here at VIR this evening.
Man, it was tough out there. There felt like there was no grip the entire time, especially on cold tires, just really fighting to keep hold of the car. Couldn't keep it off of the ABS, couldn't keep it out of traction control. It was tough out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And VIR, just in its nature of its narrow nature, lap traffic getting through the different classes was super difficult. We saw the LMPs slicing through. What was that like both in the mirror, and I'm sure you were having to get by people and dealing with those situations. How was the traffic interaction for you tonight?
I tried to dodge it as best as I could. As soon as the LMP2 leaders started catching, because the pace here is really similar between the two classes, I thought I'd do an undercut, try to get behind all the LMP2s, let them get by. Didn't really pay off because Max didn't go for a long run, so I didn't have a chance to try to close up before he came out on cold tires. But from my seat, it seemed like it wasn't that bad, but I did my best to avoid it.
No issues here. You get yourself a second. I guess heading to Hockenheim next week. What would be the confidence level heading there overseas and seeing what you can do there at that very fast circuit?
Feeling good. We're finally starting to put some races together and not having a lot of skill issues, as I've been nicknamed for as the donut guy. Haven't given so many donuts lately other than victory donuts. So feeling good going into it, but with the group of guys we got, it's going to be a tough race.
Hopefully you're up for the task, man. Any final words before we let you go?
Just congratulations to Max Poe. Credit where credit's due. He drove a flawless race. He earned it today.
Friend, well, congrats on a solid run, and we'll see what you can do next week at the Hockenheim Ring.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so unfortunately, we do not have our GT3 AM winner, but we do have our championship leader in LMP2 and race runner-up of Cody Perodato. I mean, Cody, it was such a close race there between you and Kill there right towards the end. Just walk us through your race here today.
I was not expecting to race this week at all, so I didn't get home until about 20 minutes before we started. I think I did maybe 3 minutes of practice and qualifying, so was a lot less prepared than I usually am for these things. So qualifying went pretty rough. I think I started 6th, so it was really just traffic management and not dying was most of it. right at the end there. Had my heart beating out of my chest seeing him coming up on traffic into the last corner. So did everything we could. So even though it's not a win, I'm still very happy with a sixth place to a second.
I mean, yeah, it was literally just under a tenth and a half away. I mean, it was such a very close battle. I mean, Corey and I were hyping up that there was potentially going to be a battle, and boy, did you give us a fantastic battle to work with here tonight. But it is the Hockenheim Ring next week. How are you feeling going into the penultimate round of the season?
I would be excited, but unfortunately I won't be able to make it. It's one of my favorite tracks, but next weekend is my dad's birthday, so I'll be doing that instead.
Well, I will wish you a very happy early birthday to your dad. It is, I mean, it's a good reason to miss out on a race, although you will be missed. Maybe not by your competitors because they can get some very solid points from your absence. But I mean, I don't think your championship lead is going to take a hit from missing one round. You do have, I think you had like a 58-point gap coming into this race to your teammate.
Something
But
like that. I don't keep track too closely.
But I mean, yeah, pretty much you and your teammate have been dominating the entire season. Last thing we're gonna ask you before we go ahead and let you go. Anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I really want to thank my teammate Antonio. He's been a great teammate the whole season. I think, unfortunately, this is the last one we'll be able to do that both of us can show up for. So I wish him luck off at his schooling that he's starting. So I really appreciate all the effort and work he's put in this season and the good results he's had for us. I really want to appreciate Corey coming in and taking over some of the broadcasting. Thank you to Brad for showing up still to some extent, and hope you feel better soon. Yeah, thank you all for putting us on for us.
And of course, I always want to thank you guys for putting on such a fantastic show, pretty much every single week. And it's always fun to watch you guys. And it's actually gonna be kind of heartbreaking to not see both you and Costa tearing up the track for at least together for the rest of the season. So, but hopefully we'll see you guys back again soon.
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, that is going to go ahead and wrap up the interviews, and we're about to go ahead and sunset the stream. Any final words, Corey, before we go ahead and send this one off?
A fantastic race here at a fantastic track, and Hockenheim Ring, another fast track, a lot of passing zones. That should bring just as fabulous of a race, and we'll be sure to stay tuned for it.
Indeed. And that's going to be it from us here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in to round number 10 here of Elbows Out Racing. A massive thank you to Corey for stepping on in and doing a fantastic job here tonight. It was a pleasure working with you as always. And if you want to hear Corey again, he'll be back on PTR TV with Triple Bypass Racing on Sunday.
Monday night, Triple Bypass. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff on our mission to 1,800 subscribers. Just need a little bit of help from our fans who have not done that. And like I said, that's going to be Corey and Patrick signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.